The Pistons and Kings are talking trades. We'll also preview Detroit's upcoming game against the Milwaukee Bucks in just a moment. Welcome back to the Pistons Jack YouTube channel. We have an action-packed episode for you today. We're going to talk some trade stuff with some rumblings on Twitter alluding to a potential framework of a trade in the upcoming trade period. And then we will preview Detroit's game in Milwaukee against Giannis and the Bucks. But let's dive straight into this trade chatter. I woke up this morning, as I always do and I always say here, and I was scrolling through Twitter, just catching up on the latest news, ciphering through some typical negative stuff, overreactions, whatever. And then I came across this tweet from Bruce Tenon, who's a longtime Pistons fan, someone who tweets about the team very regularly in a very measured way. Bruce tweeted out that Sacramento and the Pistons continue to talk trade, with December 15 a key date. Kings desperately looking to offload salary. Now, important to note, this is not from a sourced journalist. However, this doesn't mean that Bruce hasn't heard rumblings. This doesn't mean that Bruce doesn't know someone who could be a part of these discussions. This could just be a conversation that's been relayed back to someone that's now dead and happened a couple of weeks ago. But according to Bruce, he was tweeting out some other tweets that this is actively ongoing. And it's important to also note that GMs and their staff always are constantly talking to other teams. Like, these discussions happen all year round. You know, they don't just get to the trade deadline or these key trigger dates like December 15th and that's when they start talking trades. Like, this is a thing that pretty much goes on all year round, except for maybe August when when front offices are actually on holiday. So just wanted to really put that out there because I don't want people to think I'm like putting out fake news or clickbait type stuff. But this is interesting because, according to Bruce as well, the Pistons and Kings have been in discussions about Dennis Schroder. The Kings, after just signing Schroder to a 3-year, $45 million deal, and are supposedly desperate to get off of his money, particularly in years 2 and 3. The Kings season has obviously been an absolute disaster. They are right down the bottom of the West. I haven't checked exactly where they are, but they're a mess. Zach LaVine, Sabonis, DeRozan, they're not playing Keon Ellis, who we'll mention in a moment. Like, their highest paid players, that supposedly they want to get rid of them. They got a new front office this past offseason with Scott Perry coming in, who made the Schroder signing, but is apparently looking to completely tear down this roster. So the good news is that the Pistons, it sounds like, aren't interested in LaVine, DeRozan, or even Sabonis, even though there's no fit there for Sabonis. Because I have literally no interest in DeRozan or LaVine. I think they are, in theory, if you just look at the skill set, yes, you could say they would help with the scoring and some creation, for sure. They're veterans. They're guys that have averaged 25 plus multiple times throughout their career. They're proven scorers. Defensively, they're a disaster, and I don't think in terms of their approach, particularly LaVine, they fit anything to do with what the Pistons have established here. No offense to them, but I just think that would be a disaster. LaVine in particular has another 2 years, I think, on his deal at $40 million or something crazy. So apparently there's no interest in that. But apparently the conversations are centering around the Pistons taking back Dennis Schroder. So Schroder this year, just as a reminder, he, in 18 games, as pretty much their starting point guard, I think, for the most part, has put up 12 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists on 40% from the field, 33% from 3, and 78% from the line. That's pretty much typical Dennis Schroder numbers. For the Pistons last year, for context, bit of a smaller role coming off the bench or starting in spots, but in 28 games, he gave you 11 points, 5 assists on 38% from the field, 26% from 3, and 53% from the line. So this wasn't an efficient guy, but we saw in the playoffs he had some really nice moments, and he was a guy down the stretch in close games, and just overall just helped really set the table for a young Pistons team. So if this deal were to happen, the Pistons would be bringing back Schroeder's contract of $14 million this year, just under $15 million in year 2, and then in the third and final year, he has a $4.3 million guaranteed amount of 15.4. So you'll be pretty much bringing back this year and then next year plus a third year where you could waive him and only have to pay 4.3 million. So the other key thing here to note is Detroit can't directly trade back for a player you just signed and traded within the year. So for this trade to happen, it would have to be a 3-team deal. It would have to be a deal that's structured and crossed through the NBA's head office that the Pistons aren't the first team to receive Schroder. So Schroder could be traded to another team and then immediately rerouted to Detroit. I think that would work. Maybe you got to do it over a couple of days or a week. I'm not exactly sure, but there is a way to make this happen. Now, why would Detroit do this? Like, they've just got Giannis Jenkins. Like, what is in this for the Pistons? Well, this might be a way, and we've heard Trajan Langdon speak about this in the past, a way for the Pistons to get some stuff on the margins. Now, I don't think the Pistons need Dennis Schroder, but I'm not in the locker room. I don't know him. I'm probably not fully aware of the impact he potentially had on the team last year and the way he gelled. Like, we can kind of see here, but this could be a way for the Pistons to get back an asset from the Kings to help relieve them of their salary cap issues with Schroder in the multiple years. So a potential deal, and this isn't, I haven't seen anything about this, but when you just look at the salaries, Karis LeVert and Dennis Schroder's deals align perfectly. So they're both on 14.1 million this year. That's a clean swap. You can do that. Now, maybe the Pistons say, give us a pick back. Maybe it's a future protected first to take on the extra salary. Maybe it's a handful of seconds, like early seconds, especially this year. Or maybe they go, give us Keon Ellis as well, and he's 2.3 million, and we'll give you back Marcus Sasser, and a still a relatively young guard who can do some stuff on ball, who, with the emergence of Jenkins and still Ivy here, his role has probably shrunk a little bit with his injury absence. So maybe that's a deal. Now, in my opinion, you could probably just do Sasser for Ellis straight up. I don't know why that would be the way to do it, but maybe the Pistons want to bring Schroder back. Maybe they go, well, look, let's have Jenkins, Ivy, Schroder, and Cade. Then we've got heaps of playmaking, heaps of on-ball creation. We are set. No more of this crazy usage for Cade. Maybe that's what they do. Schroder played under JB Bickerstaff. There is reasons to see why the Pistons could be having these conversations. It doesn't mean this is going to happen. That trade I threw out was purely me spending 5 minutes just trying to figure out how does this deal happen, because both teams are over the cap. I'm probably missing something. Please correct me in the comments, but that's kind of my thinking behind this. If this is something that comes to fruition, I still would be shocked. I just think I just pointed out the positives of bringing back Schroder and maybe getting a pick or Ellis, but I think there's other avenues the Pistons can go to get a bit more on-ball creation and an asset back for some of the players they have on their roster than bringing back multiple years of Dennis Schroder, who's already 32, about to turn 33. So they're just my thoughts. I wouldn't do it, but at the same time, I wanted to talk it out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I know Keon Ellis is a player a lot of Pistons fans have been interested in because he's a two-way guard at about 6'3", 6'4", who's just wasting away with Sacramento right now, who could, once again, serve a purpose for the Pistons, a bit more on-ball defensive juice in the backcourt, take the pressure off Cade. You can put him alongside Ivy if he's knocking down the three as well. So there's some thinking there. The Kings are a team to watch at the deadline, so don't be surprised if you start to see reports of the Pistons and them discussing things. I want to just point out, though, this will not be for Malik Monk. I don't have sources, but the Pistons could have got Malik Monk just this offseason, just gone, and they didn't want to because of the additional money owing and the crossover in play style between him and Ivy. Now, I know some people will say he's better than Ivy, but I think the Pistons are still going to give Jaden all the way up until February, at least. I don't think they'll move Jaden until the offseason, but I think at least they will give him all the way up until the February deadline to prove that he can be a winning player on this team. Because can we just remember he's coming back from a broken leg? Some of the overreactions I'm seeing to JI's return is insane. It's like he's just coming back from a small injury in the preseason and everyone's expecting him to hit the ground running. This guy had a broken leg. It normally takes a whole season following the injury just for the player to get back to where they are. I remember Paul George came back midway through a season or towards the end of the season after he snapped his leg with Team USA. It's a significant injury, especially for a player like JI who relies on his speed and burst. So it'll come back. He's still very young, but I would not expect Ivy to be traded to the Kings or that kind of thing. So especially for someone like Malik Monk. So those are my thoughts on that. Please let me know. I know I've gone a while there, but I wanted to really talk it out and explain my thinking behind it. And I would, of course, love to hear yours. While we're here, I want to quickly preview the Bucks game tonight or tomorrow, depending on what time you're watching this. Detroit travel to Milwaukee in search of their third straight win. We just played the Bucks over a week ago, and we got a big win in Milwaukee. The Bucks have continued to slide. They're 9-13. I think they're 11th in the conference. 2-8 in their last 10. They have got Giannis back recently, so he's currently listed as a game time decision within the doctor issue, but it sounds like he will be good to go. Kevin Porter Jr., game time decision. Gary Harris is another guy, game time decision. They will be without Taurean Prince. The Pistons will be without Bobby Klimpman and Marcus Sasser, but some good news on the injury front for Marcus Sasser is he's active for the Motor City Cruise in their game tomorrow, so he might play. He was assigned to the Cruise a couple of days ago, so he might actually play for the Cruise. He's obviously been dealing with some hip issues, so we shall see. He should be back available for the Pistons within a week, I would feel. No more than 2 if he's active, so good news there for the Pistons. Hopefully Duncan Robinson's back, because we saw in a 99-98 slugfest against the Hawks how much the Pistons miss him. But the Bucks will have Giannis. We're going to act like they have Giannis. And this guy this year is putting up 31 points, 11 rebounds, 6.5 assists, a steal, a block, 64% from the field. Just a monster. And whilst the Bucks are struggling, they are a completely different team with him there. The Bucks have the best three-point shooting percentage in the league at 42%. And they're number 2 for 3 points made. We saw this in the game a week and a half ago. That's how they're going to win, is just drive, kick out the shooters, drive, kick out the shooters. Now, they didn't have Giannis when we played them last time. So the Pistons were able to kind of shut down Ryan Rollins for the most part, and that kind of limited the Bucks. Whereas this time they're going to have Rollins, who's a solid player, and Giannis creating. It's going to be a much bigger challenge. So I'll be looking at Stu to really match up on Giannis. I'll be looking at how Jalen Duren protects the paint with Giannis in there, and Miles Turner, who was not very good last time Detroit played. So I still think this will be a tough game with the Bucks struggles. I think Giannis, there's a mental thing in his head where he sees the Pistons and he just thinks he's going to dominate because he's done it for the past 10 years, it feels like. So I think it's going to be a really good game. And when you look at the Bucks, their offense is 16th in the league, 22nd defense, 18th net rating, really kind of average to below average team, but some of those numbers are skewed because they haven't had Giannis. So I think their offense is much better than 16th with him in the lineup. Detroit, funnily enough, have dropped to the 12th best offense. I think they were 8th before that Hawks game, but after scoring only 99 points, you can see the variance there. They've dropped 4 spots. They're back up to number 2 in defense, though. So on the flip side of that game, it's boosted their defense back up the charts. So, look, I think that Hawks game was a bit of an outlier in terms of it was a really fun game, but just the shot making from Detroit was really bad from the perimeter, only making 5 threes. So this should be a really fun game. I want to see the Pistons win. I haven't seen them beat Giannis in forever. Maybe it was Cade's rookie year. They might have beaten the Bucks. So this will be a fun game. Drop below your comments on the trade front. We're not going to talk Giannis trades yet, just by the way. I'm going to wait for a bit more reporting to come out on that before we even do a Giannis trade on here. But it sounds like he could be in the midst of requesting a trade soon. So if that happens, we might talk Giannis trades here. But for now, let's just focus on beating Giannis and the Bucks. It's going to be a fun game. We'll be back straight after that one tomorrow to recap it all. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, go Pistons.